And welcome back. I want to shoot a little bit of video to put it at the beginning of what you're about to see, which is us pressure testing the fuel pump within the TRX RAM that we're working on. In the video, you'll see us key cycling multiple times, and you'll see the pressure build kind of slowly and eventually peak at one point and get nowhere near its factory rated, which is 58 psi plus or minus 2. Now, prior to us running that test, I did run some additional tests using the scan tool, in which I toggled the fuel pump on manually and was finally able to get it up to about 51 psi, closer to its spec, but still not right at spec. And in the video you're about to see, after I released pressure off the gauge to do another clean test, you'll see that cycling the key even upwards, I think we did it 4 or 5 times in that video, you'll see the pressure build kind of slowly and eventually peak, and this time nowhere near, again, spec. It seems the more tests we ran, no matter how we did it, whether toggling the fuel pump manually in the scan tool, or cycling the key in the ignition, or even attempting to start the vehicle, which we did. We allowed it to go through its extended crank and eventually start, and even though it was multiple misfiring, don't like to run it long that way. Now, the fuel pump is able to hold fuel pressure while running. Now, I didn't give it throttle because obviously it's got some issues, but it's able to hold it even at that jerky idle that it has. But again, the fuel pressure got no better than about 50 to 51 psi per the gauge. It should be more closer to 60 again. But in the video you're going to see coming up, again, the more tests we did, the more kind of resetting the pressure gauge and doing it just seemed like it's a weak pump, in which the test results were getting worse and worse as we just continued to test it. So that is why, along with, again, as I commented in yesterday's video, reaching out to my family member and a friend of mine, and just confirming what we're seeing on this pressure gauge with his knowledge. And next thing we're going to chase is definitely decomming this pump. So you're going to see us drop the fuel tank in the next video and go ahead and do that pump replacement. And then we'll come back and do that exact same pressure test, in which we key cycle multiple times, and that pressure should be a lot closer to 60. Now, I can compare this to the 2500 6.4 that we have in another video segment, in which we were doing the cam and the lifters and such, if you remember. I have a digital pressure gauge on that one because of the supercharger, using that same fuel rail adapter you're getting ready to see, by the way. I can, within the first key cycle, be straight up to 60 psi, and I expect this 2009 RAM should be able to do the exact same thing. So when we get the pump replaced, we'll do the exact same pressure test the same way. We'll key cycle it, and that way we'll have a comparison between basically what it looks like now and what it will look like after that replacement. So one thing I also wanted to add in here that I didn't mention in the last couple of videos is that we've been dealing a lot with the fuel system. Please be cautious when you do so. Always wear safety glasses. You don't see it in the video because you don't see my face, but when I'm working on the fuel rail, I've got safety glasses on. Also off camera, we do have fire extinguishers and other appropriate equipment for, again, just the worst case scenario. Not saying that you're going to need it, but it's always good to have it readily and quickly available in case you need it, because again, you are working with the fuel system, so please take care in doing so. But with all that being said, I will let you go. Thank you much. Bye. And welcome back. So this is the following day. Thanks to Amazon, we were able to get our fuel rail adapter in that you see there. And what that is actually it's meant for nitrous oxide systems. And it's an adapter that you can put into the fuel rail that gives you then 2 ports. And a lot of individuals will put fuel pressure sensors or a wire or trigger in based on fuel pressure. But in our case, you can see that's hooked into the fuel rail there, and then the factory line plugged into the top. I've just plugged off the back port because it's not needed. But that now gives us just a little fitting that we've attached to the other side of it that we can now attach our fuel pressure gauge into. and be able to see whether we're getting sufficient fuel pressure from the pump or not. So we're going to go ahead and get the fuel pressure gauge installed, and we'll bring you back. Thank you much. And welcome back. So you can see we've got our fuel pressure gauge attached to our adapter there in the back, and through various bits of cobbled together hose, we're up here to our pressure. So what I'm going to have my assistant do, which is in the cab of the truck right now, we're just going to key cycle it on, but we're not going to start it. Go ahead and key cycle it on, but don't start. Okay, we're a little over, we're about 30-ish pounds, 30, maybe 35 pounds. Okay, to be fair, key cycle off and then back on, but do not start. Okay, maybe creeping up on 40 pounds, but you'll notice that's a nice slow creep. Okay, key off, on, but do not start. You can see it's struggling to build that pressure. That's maybe 45 pounds at this point. Earlier when we did this, we got maybe 51 pounds max. This should be a 58 plus or minus 2 pound pump. It should be able to hit this up to 60 pounds without an issue, which is the same spec as you see in our 6.4 up there in the hill. Matter of fact, when ProCharger has you monitor fuel pressure, they state that if it drops below 60 to immediately lay off the throttle, otherwise you can run the engine in a lean condition with the supercharger on it. But with that being with that, and to be fair, we're going to do it one more time. Go ahead and turn it off and back on, but don't start. You can see we're just now maybe up to 48 pounds. We should be 58, 60 pounds at that point. After that many key cycles, we should be able to achieve our goal, and we haven't. So what we're going to do at this point, we're going to go ahead and order a fuel pump in. So the next video that you see is going to be us dropping the tank and doing a fuel pump change. And I did look to spec up via AllData, and AllData does state 58 pounds plus or minus 2, and as you can see there, we're not at that spec, so we need to fix that. There'll be a link in the description to that fuel rail adapter that we're using there in case you find yourself in this situation and need to tee in. I'm going to leave that adapter in place. We're just going to take the fitting off of it at this point. And then we're just going to put a plug in it. But it is nice because it does give you 2 ports in case you want to put your own, cab mounted digital fuel pressure gauge, or have another reason to monitor fuel pressure. Those adapters come in pretty nice. And just so people can say whether I did it or not, go ahead and turn it off, cycle it one more time, but do not start. You can see that's what, maybe 5, 6 key cycles at this point, and we're not even up to 50 pounds yet. We should be up to pretty close to 60, but that'll do it for this one. And then the next one, you'll see us start to siphon the tank and drop it. That should be fun out here on the hot black asphalt. Talk to you later. Bye.